Newsfirst Newsline.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Newsline Live, coming to you, of course, live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. There is a small change, of course, in the format of the program today, and that is because we are having two guests today, because we are discussing a very, very important piece of legislation that, of course, the Supreme Court has sent their determination to the Parliament on. It's none other, of course, than the Port City Economic Commission Bill. So let me introduce our guests first for tonight. We've got President's Counsel Srinath Perera on my immediate left, and on my far left I've got Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara. A very good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
My first question goes out to Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara. Well, we saw the government having quite an urgency to pass this Port City Economic Commission Bill. The government, when this bill was initially included in the Gazette, said that all provisions are constitutional. This is what the country needs. This is completely in line with the Constitution. However, today we find that situation to be quite different, as many provisions in this bill have been determined by the Supreme Court, none other than the Apex Court of Sri Lanka, to be inconsistent with the Constitution of Sri Lanka. What are your thoughts on this determination?
Well, definitely, because if you remember right, the government kept on saying that whatever they were giving was very constitutional. In fact, they spent taxpayers' money placing adverts on national papers, saying what a wonderful piece of legislation. But one has to recall the indecent hurry this government had to bring this act. The 1 week available for citizens to challenge the bill for constitutionality. In that particular week, only 2 working days were there, and the courts were on vacation, lawyers were on vacation. Fortunately, some keen petitioners, including some members from my organization, went to petition. And now you would see, out of the 74 sections of that law, 25 of them, or 26 of them, are in violation of the Constitution. You recall the 20th Amendment. That was quite a draconian legislation.
Right.
But even that, there was no order for a referendum to be held for some of those changes. But in this one, 16 of the amendments need 2/3 majority. Otherwise, they're in violation of the Constitution. Simple majority is not enough. Another 9, you require a referendum. So that goes on to show, and one of the main articles that get violated is 12(1) of the Constitution, equal protection before the law, which get violated. Parliament's financial powers. So such a piece of legislation I've never seen in recent history, being drafted by the legal draftsman, jolly well knowing it's in violation of the Constitution, which I think is scary, to say the least.
Well, that was a bit of a background on the Port City Economic Commission Bill, how it came about, how it was challenged in the Supreme Court. Let's move on to the content of this piece of legislation, which is, of course, the most important discussion about this piece of legislation. And for that, I'd turn to President's Counsel Srinath Perera. Sir, on the content of this special determination on the Port City Economic Commission Bill, do you think that it has addressed all of the shortcomings in this bill?
Chaturanga, can I say this, that there are 2 aspects that we have to look at. One is the constitutionality, which the Supreme Court has looked into. Right or wrong, they have made their determination.
Right.
That does not mean that everything is fine, because as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, what they can determine is only about the constitutionality of the law that is sought to be passed. But quite apart, and the procedure that will have to be followed in Parliament to make it a law.
Right.
But quite apart from that, the Supreme Court has no right to look into other aspects which are essential, which must be looked into, like what benefit does the country achieve by going through this process.
Right.
Now, let me make it very clear that I don't think there is any citizen of this country who is against this port city being set up. We want new methods to be looked into to improve the finances of the country. That's no problem. But the basic problem that we have is the basic law that we are going to pass within 48 hours from now, which is going to either take us, some people say that this will take us to paradise, but I have my reservations. I get the feeling that in the process of going to paradise, we might end up in hell. Now, why I say that is for the reason that This is a very important law which is going to tie down not only our generation but 3 generations to come.
99 years.
99 years, and also in this, some of these concessions that are being given, agreements entered into can extend up to 40 years. Right. So that we are, in my view, we are mortgaging the rights of generations to come. That being the case, whether it's good or bad, I think the government should have given opportunities to the people to discuss, permitted the public to have open discussion, thereafter extract whatever that is good for us and then pass the law. Instead, what did this government do? As my friend said, with the 20th Amendment, they reduced the number of days which are given 14 to 7. That 7 also are 5 working days. Then thereafter, I'm sad to say, you might not agree with me, up to about February, March, they kept COVID disaster under some control, and then they let it go astray. I get the feeling that it was done deliberately with a view to creating a situation after the Sinhala New Year whereby people, once they are caught up in this COVID situation, they will forget all other national issues. They will have to. Now I feel that government did this deliberately with a design. Not only that, thereafter they give only 2 days for Parliament to discuss this. When I say it should have been first made available to the public and there should have been public discussion, even in Parliament they are giving only 2 days. And not only that, today they said that they are going to declare Monday and Tuesday as holidays. Wednesday is a public holiday. So tomorrow and day after, maybe within another 60 hours, this law is passed. Thereafter, people will have to stay indoors. I feel this government which failed when a lockdown situation was absolutely necessary prior to the Sinhala New Year, having allowed the people to go astray, now they are creating this situation. I think it is being done with a design whereby they want to, by hook or by crook, give it to the Chinese.
Can I add something?
Definitely.
Right. As Sir was saying, the Supreme Court will only decide whether it's constitutional or not. Whether it's politically good for us or it's not another matter. If you recall, in 1982, when JR wanted to extend the life of his parliament that he won in 1977, the Supreme Court said, you can't do it without a referendum. Then he brought in a referendum to extend the life of the parliament by another 6 years, the famous the pot and the lamp referendum.
Right.
But you recall what happened afterwards, after 1983. All the riots that came up, the unrest. So the political realities are different. So therefore, whatever is constitutional, our objections are based on 2 things. One thing is being unconstitutional. The other one is this might create political backlashes in this country. Especially, we are a poor country. We are a poor nation.
Right.
We are surviving with daily bread given from various donors. And then when we are seen aligning with one camp, China, over the others, then we are going to be under serious pressure from these people. So I am also in agreement with sir that there's a design by this government to stop this piece of law, which is very important, being debated, right? And still, nothing will change about they can appoint foreign commissioners. You can have members of the Chinese Communist Party as commissioners. They take decisions. Our auditor can.
But a majority of this, the members of this Port City Economic Commission will be Sri Lankans. At least that's what the Attorney General agreed in court.
Right. Which means when the bill came originally, their plan was to have all foreigners. Now because we went in petition, we say we will give you the majority.
Right.
And appointed by the government. But what I'm trying to say is, this port city is not our strategic plan. This is a strategic plan of China, which we have given in to. So therefore, by the time Corona is over, by the time people come onto the street, we would have started being a Chinese colony.
Our fate is sealed, and thereafter, I suppose, there will be no case of turning back. Can I also say this to Harsha?
Yes.
Harshana, that is, we are dealing, pardon me for saying this, we are dealing with a country which does not follow international norms, right? And do you think, Chaturanga, that Chinese people are coming here to help the Sri Lankans out? It can't be the case, no. They would want to look after their own interests. They are coming here. They have, we see around the world that they are targeting all countries where the leaders have been dishonest, which has come down below the poverty level. They overload with loans, trap them into a debt trap, and thereafter what they cannot do through war by using the barrel of the gun, they are doing it by giving us a few dollars. I think in a situation like that,
state of economic colonialism, you mean?
Absolutely.
Look at what happened to Djibouti. Chinese loans, South Africa and Djibouti, gone.
But members of the government claim that these are just mere speculations, and mere speculations cannot be the base of a substantial argument to stop the development drive in Sri Lanka.
Now, none of us are saying not to develop, as I said.
Absolutely.
When an investor is coming, you have to give them incentives, tax reliefs. That's why we have the Strategic Development Act. That's why we have the BOI Act. With those only, they gave concessions to Hambantota also, which we objected at that time, but given. So, what is the reason of creating this all-powerful commission, which our laws also does not apply, right? And it does not even consist of part of the Sri Lankan land, according to our provincial council or wherever. And commissioners are going to be Chinese. Now they are saying the majority will be Sri Lankan. But remember, all these things the AG is saying in court. Now, whatever they are saying in court has to be entered during the amendment stage in the parliament, which at that stage, even if they don't put it in, public can't challenge. So whatever they are saying they will do, we have to wait and see.
Chaturanga, I have a very simple question to ask. That is, what is the indecent hurry to push through this piece of legislation, which is going to be crucial to the people of this country, which is going to tie down generations to come? What is the indecent hurry? With this COVID situation, why are they sort of forcing it and pushing it down our throats? There's only one explanation that I have. Either somebody is making a lot of money out of it, or else the Chinese are pressurizing. They have now got a hold on us. The danger is this: once they get their foot in, thereafter all financial centers will come under their control. One by one, we know what happened in Zambia. One by one, they are going to pick up all our financial centers, and this will become definitely, I hope I'm wrong, definitely we will end up as another colony of China. The danger, as Harshana said, India and America, we have created two big enemies in the process, and we will get crushed in this international scene.
You questioned as to why there is a huge urgency in passing this law. Couldn't the government be genuine in their intention of a want to create development in Sri Lanka? And is there really a requirement for this law to be passed right now? Does this give us any added advantage as far as the Port City Economic Commission goes?
Chaturanga, can I, in one line I say this, Chaturanga, every time when the Great Colombo Economic Commission came, they said that was a turning point of the country's economy. When they bring something in Mattala, turning point. Hambantota Port, turning point. Economy will come, it will thrive. None of them happen. Our country has 65,000 square kilometers with enough resources and assets and forests and whatever the things we have. And we have a sea around the island, which is 8 times more than our landmass. We haven't been able to get a fish inside a tin and make tin fish in this country. Without using any of these resources to turn the country around, if somebody is saying this 464 hectares, they are going to turn this economy around, that's either a lie or that man is an insane liar.
By the Chinese? They love us so much? Is that the reason? Why can't we delay this by 2 months? Is it that we are so hard up? Is it that we have become bankrupt? We have gone so bankrupt that without this Chinese coming in,
is it possible to delay this for 2 months? Is it?
Why can't you? Why can't you? Is it that we have gone down to the poverty levels, to the zero level, where we can't survive without this?
One might say that the government really wants this piece of legislation to be passed and to be implemented, and for the results to be seen during their time in power.
So there's 4 more years to go. How can 2 months? Let's all what we say, Chaturanga, is not to stop this project. Go ahead with it. But the base would be the law that they will be passing in another 60 hours. Let us ensure that it will not leave any room for a situation where we will become the slaves of another nation. That's all that we say. We are not saying stop this. We are not saying stop this. Go ahead with it. Fine. It's necessary. but ensure that you have the foundation, the basic law which they are going to pass within another 60 hours. Have it in the form which is beneficial to us.
Gentlemen, we have to cross over to a short commercial break. A very interesting point in this discussion regarding the Port City Economic Commission Bill. We will be right back after this short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Newsline Live. Welcome back. We are here at Newsline Live, of course, in discussion with regard to the Port City Economic Commission Bill. Let's move on to the conversation. Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara, you were about to say something important before we crossed into the commercial break. I'm pretty sure our viewers must be eager to know what it is you were about to say. Here's your chance.
What I was about to say was that now everybody speaks about what an amazing economic turnaround this is going to be. That means they're assuming that we are getting all this money, right? Remember, it's a Chinese who are investing. Yes, we are supposed to get 1% or something to that level of income. Now, who's the best? Now, for us to get some portion of the income, we must know what they earn there on the first place. But they can appoint international auditors or accountants to check their accounts. Our auditor has no right to go and investigate, right? Only international auditors. But apparently it's not unconstitutional. Now this is why I kept on saying, just because something is constitutional doesn't mean it's good for us. So if our parliament cannot figure out how much the Port City has earned, how do we know whether we are even getting the amount of money that the law is telling us that we are getting, because we do not know how much they earn, because our auditor cannot go. They are not supposed to put it before the parliament. So this is why I am saying that's a crucial point. Anyone who says we are going to get so much of money, how are we going to account for it? Just
body corporate.
Yes, body
government, and entering into this or passing this piece of legislation. There is a question that came in from one of our viewers, and I will pose that question to you as the final question of this show. Against the current situation that is present in our country, this viewer questions, what can we do to stop this government from passing this piece of legislation?
Now it has gone to the committee stage, it will go to the parliament. So what we can do via courts, we have done. But still you need 2/3. Firstly, I want the public to be vigilant and be aware and look at who are the people raising their hands for this treacherous piece of legislation, and make sure they never ever cite your house for a cup of tea, right?
Or a vote.
Or a vote for the parliament. That is one. Secondly, exercise our democratic rights of protest on the street and dissent. And I do not know how we are going to do it with the corona pandemic.
Srinath, can I also say this? There are, last time in relation to the 20th Amendment, 156 people voted in favor. 8 of them were from the opposition. Right? I would at this stage appeal, as a citizen who loves this country and the people, I would worship and appeal to the members of parliament, whether they be in the opposition or in the government side, to please go into this question seriously. And if they feel that there is some sense in what we say, that we are going to mortgage generations to come, the future generations are going to curse you. For that reason and that reason alone, please reconsider, vote against this. Even if you lose your membership in parliament, it doesn't matter. It's a sacrifice that you are doing for the people and the country whom you represent. So therefore my appeal, Shana, you asked me, is there any particular way? Yes, there is still a way available. That is, day after tomorrow, please ensure that you keep both your hands down without raising it. That's the greatest service that you will ever be able to do for the people of this country.
Tell the viewer, whatever is constitutional may not be in the best interest of the country. Don Juan Dharmapala, a treacherous king we had, who gave by way of deed of gift the the Kotte kingdom. I'm sure it was constitutional at that time. I'm sure the king was within his law and power, but it was not in the best interest of the country. In 1505, when the Portuguese came here, they only asked for a cow skin space. They never invaded us. We invited them. This port city is the cow skin the Chinese are asking. You give it, the rest is history.
Shana, just let me say one thing. My Harshana just a few minutes ago said that this is a private corporate body. Even if it's a private corporate body, if there is state funding or state interest, it can be treated as a private state-owned business, and therefore, in relation to the Commission, there is no legal impediment whatsoever of bringing it under the schedule of the Bribery Act. If you don't do that, we are giving an open field for corrupt people, corrupt politicians, corrupt individuals, corrupt public servants to openly resort to bribery, which we are against.
I'll be happy if the port city becomes a part of Sri Lanka, that's all.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we end our show for today. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara and President's Counsel Srinath Perera, for joining us on our show for a very insightful conversation, of course, not mostly on the provisions of this bill, but of course on the political realities. And I would like to end this evening's show with a statement made by, of course, Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara, when he said, all that is constitutional may not be in the best interest of the country. Take care and good night.